Welcome back to Phoenix, Arizona, the Motorcraft Ford Nationals. You may have noticed Don Beverly getting a little loose in that far lane. Well, this track has been tricky. You never know which lane is the better. Don Garlitz, how do you see the track conditions right now?
Well, Steve, I think the track was real good. I think what happened was that Warren Johnson engine that they put in Don Beverly's car had just a little bit too much mid-range for the way his chassis was set up, and it looked like he just couldn't handle it down through the middle of the track.
All right, Top Fuel will be coming up next. In fact, you see them coming into the lanes right now. The car you're looking at, that is Pat Austin, Tacoma, Washington. Let's remember, he had a tremendous rookie season last year, winning in Topeka, winning the Winston Finals. He's one tough kid. There you see Pat pacing around. He has already won the alcohol funny car title just moments ago before we went on the air. And you talk about a story. Here is young Doug Herbert, a former Californian, now in North Carolina. He unofficially became the quickest driver in the world at Pomona 3 weeks ago at 4.88 seconds. Some said, that's just a flash in the pan. Not so. You see Herbert coming in here for the final round. And earlier, I had a chance to talk to both of these keyed up drivers. Here's what they had to say. Doug, you're in tough, buddy. Pat Austin is plenty mean. How are you going to handle this race? What are you going to have to do?
Well, I don't know what to say. We got a quicker car than he does, but he seems to be a little bit more consistent, so we're going to have to get after it a little bit. I think we can do it.
Doug Herbert has a fast car. He's proven that. How do you approach this race with a first-time finalist like him?
You approach it just like that. He has a fast car, and he's a good driver, and Doug's been on a hot streak. If you watch his car's Pomona, he's right there, and his car is really running good. They slowed down a little bit that time, but we ain't even looking at that. We're looking past that, and he's going to run a 4-second run, and that's exactly how we're going to approach it.
Well, I don't have to tell you about Pat Austin's racing record. Comes from a great racing family. Has already won 5 Top Fuel races, and he only started at the end of last season in 1981. He bought the team from the late Gary Ormsby, won 2 races. He holds 44 career victories in Top Alcohol Funny Car, and already has a couple of victories in Top Fuel. So the kid is just unbelievable. At 28 years old, Steve Evans, I think he may be on to something here in this drag racing career. I'll tell you, who's to know how many races he can win if he stays with it?
Oh, absolutely. He's also the official national record holder. His opponent on the other side, Doug Herbert, well, he may be the new wonderkind in Top Fuel. We told you about how well he ran in Pomona. He's a big, good-looking kid. Every girl I run into wants to know if Doug Herbert is married. I'm not sure if he is or not. You see the crew strapping him down, that 5-point harness. He can't get it tight enough. In case of an upset, well, that roll cage and that harness, they're your very best friends. Herbert has been through so many engine explosions, so much grief with this car, I don't think anything scares him. Behind him, you see, in the Herbert shirt, that is Jim Brissett, one of the true veterans of Top Fuel racing. Nobody knows more about these engines and these racetracks than that man right there, Jim Brissett.
Well, of course, Doug also comes from a great drag racing family. His dad, Chet Herbert, is a great camshaft designer, and I'm sure Big Daddy has been around the Herbert family for a long, long time. Don?
Well, I'll tell you, these 2 drivers are definitely cool. I talked to each one of them just a few minutes ago. I couldn't believe they're both as cool as a glass of iced tea. They are up to this race.
Okay, let's go to Steve Evans.
Well, the one big advantage I see here does not lie with that long red car. It lies with Pat Austin. His reaction times are simply unbelievable. That's how he won the alcohol division today. That's how he's won so many races in this car. He is cat-like quick. That top gun in his helmet, that's what that means, reaction time.
Well, you certainly can't fault him for experience. As I say, that's his dad, Walt Austin, who has built the engines for this car. And Chet Herbert, he owns that automobile. As you said earlier, Jim Brissett may be the key to making that car go so well. He had a whole bunch of problems last year, his first year in Top Fuel competition, as is Pat. So both these guys are sophomores in Top Fuel competition, Steve.
Interesting, Brock. They're both in the lane that they like. Pat Austin had the lane choice over Herbert. Austin has selected the lane you see him in right now, the near lane, all day long. Herbert is like that 4 lane all day long, so nobody's unhappy with this.
So the burnouts are complete. Let's go down to Big Daddy for some final thoughts.
Well, both of the drivers, Brock, executed perfect burnouts, just the kind they've been making all day long. No funny deals. Both of them are in the lane they like. As Steve said earlier, I just couldn't see of a better day. The air is really nice on the starting line. These engines are making some horsepower. Brock?
One more question, Big Daddy. We going to see a run into 4s between one of these guys?
Yes, sir. I believe we will see a 4-second run here this evening.
Okay, that's it, Steve. In the near lane, you're seeing Pat Austin in the far lane. That is Doug Herbert. Let's go to Steve Evans for the race call.
How much horsepower are you looking at? Well, about 5,000 apiece, 10,000 collective horsepower. When they put the hammer down on these automobiles, those people on the starting line will actually feel the ground quake. Here, and there is Jim Brissett's wife. This is a ritual with her, with all the teams I've been with all over the years. She wears that big crucifix, gets down on one knee, and hey, you know, do all you can do. Sometimes it takes that sort of tradition to win these drag races. Doug Herbert, he knows that Pat Austin is a leader. Doug Herbert will be sharper here right now than maybe he's ever been. Well, he better be. Herbert moves up, puts a little pressure on Austin. Lights that free stage beam on the Christmas tree. You see the yellow lights, Herbert? That tells Austin he's ready to race. Austin moves in, doesn't hold him up at all. Who will break first? It is going to be Austin moving in, allowing Herbert to stage last. Still not quite in. Now they're set. Oh, and it is Pat Austin all the way as Doug Herbert breaks right off of the starting line. A 5.06 elapsed time. You can hear the crowd cheering the young team from Tacoma, Washington. Austin is your champion. Doug Herbert, well, a real tragedy for him right off of the starting line. Brock?
A really tough break. We were expecting a great drag race, but what so often happens, we have a little mechanical problem here, and it is Pat Austin. It's a great launch. He'll run a 5.06. Excellent reaction time, a 4.35. There you see in the far lane that Doug Herbert breaks, and Pat Austin on his way to his second victory of the day. Let's go to Big Daddy Don Garlitz.
Well, Walt Austin, I take my hat off to you. You didn't hop it up. You didn't do anything funny. You just made your nice, normal run, and that's what it took.
Well, Don, you know that probably better than any of us, and sometimes you've got to control yourself and look at what it's really going to take to win the race. And I'm really proud of my crew. I mean, Dana and Mike and Dickie and Brad and all the guys, they're really professionals, and it's showing.
Well, you did a nice job.
Okay, Big Daddy, and now let's go to Steve Evans with the winner.
Yeah, two-time winner today. First alcohol funny car, and now the pro category of Top Fuel. I thought maybe you had a 4-second run in it. Not quite.
Well, not quite, but you just got to do what it takes to win, and that's what we did. I'm sure the guys would have liked it to run a little better, but obviously they planned to run a 5.06, and that's what it did. So as long as you get there first, and with the help of the sponsors, Castro, Oldsmobile, Red Wing Shoes, and Dynomax, we're going to the top, baby.
You probably read this track better than anybody today. You always knew which was the best lane, and you selected it throughout the competition.
Yeah, I think that comes with the experience of the guys. You know, my dad and the guys work together, and they've been working together real well, and I think it's shown our performance. And being a new team, I think it's very important to go out and do good earlier, or things can fall apart, and we're doing good so far.
Thanks a lot.
Hey, thank you.
So Kenny Bernstein won round 1 in Pomona. Now Pat Austin knocks him out in round 2. Brock?
Okay, Steve, we've got more racing coming up. That is Rhonda Hartman, the sister of Richard Hartman, who will be competing in the funny car finals coming up against Tom Hoover. We'll be right back. Tom Hoover already in his race car. So stick around. Don't touch those remotes. We know where you live.
Here at the Motorcraft Ford Nationals in Phoenix, Arizona, it is pure bedlam at the far end. The celebration has begun and probably will go deep into the night as Pat Austin has won Top Fuel. Brock Yates?
Well, Steve, let's go. We got one more race, and that is young Richard Hartman out of Corona, California. A 91 Corvette-bodied funny car, and I'll tell you what, this has been a hard roll for Richard, and as Big Daddy said earlier, he struggled to get into the finals here and had a tough season in 91. That is Tom Hoover, 51 years young, his dad, 81 years old. These guys are ready to go. Steve Evans?
They sure are. Tom Hoover and Richard Hartman. As you said, Hoover has ruled the day. Hartman is really, and he knows it, darn lucky to be here. Earlier, I had a chance to talk to both of these drivers. Let's see what they had to say. Richard, what's the plan here? You're in top and you know it.
Yeah, we're in top. I'm not sure what he ran, but we had a mismatched set of heads on because we're afraid to hurt the engine, and we're throwing another head on, so the engine will be evened out, and we should be back to our 543 in first round deal.
Hoove, this one can be yours if you don't screw up.
That's the name of the game, Steve. Today, so far, things are going our way, and if we don't beat ourselves or make a big, bad mistake, I think we can do it.
Okay, going to be interesting. The engines, these monster 500 cubic inch nitro burning engines are fired up. That is Hartman's car, the body coming down on that automobile. Soon enough, we're going to see a monster race. Here comes Hartman. Let's go to Steve Evans for the race call.
The engines in these cars, as you well know, Brock, are almost identical to the Top Fuel races. The difference is they're in front of the drivers. That can make fire a bit of a hazard, but NHRA safety rules are so good now as far as the way these bodies are constructed that drivers aren't concerned about that much anymore. A very light burnout by Hartman. I don't think that was intentional. Maybe he didn't have enough engine temperature to build the horsepower, but you really would like to put down some hot rubber on that racetrack, and Hartman did not really do that. Tom Hoover, a good, strong burnout. You can always expect that from the Showtime team. Hoover, number 8 in the world last year, and boy, has he got a shot to move up in 1992. Rhonda Hartman, Richard's sister, she is also a licensed NHRA drag racer and competition eliminator and in alcohol funny cars, and her dream is to someday sit in one of these cars.
Okay, so
a second burnout for Richard Hartman. He knew he did not have those tires hot enough and sticky enough. Now, he cannot inconvenience Tom Hoover. Don Garlitz?
That is absolutely right, Brock. Hartman was not happy with that burnout. He came back real fast, back to the bleach box to get another shot at that burnout. In fact, he came back so fast that the crew had to wipe up some of the fuel out of the overflow tank. This could be a little bit of a disadvantage and an advantage for Tom Hoover, who is sitting on the line very cool. Brock?
Very rare to see a couple of burnouts, Steve Evans, but right now, Tom Hoover sitting pretty.
And I would tell you, good sportsmanship on part of Hartman. He in no way held up Tom Hoover. The more heat you have in these engines, the more power they make. I already said that. Sometimes you can make too much power. Tom Hoover is ready to race. He knows that engine is up to temperature. He doesn't want any more. He puts on the pre-stage light. Hartman better hurry or his starter bust. Oh, there he is. He's pre-staged as well. We're going to have a funny car final in a matter of moments. It's a good race. Hartman out of control over the center line. That automatically disqualifies him. Tom Hoover has won in the desert, 5:27. His father, George, the octogenarian, 86 years of age, absolutely thrilled. Brock Yates?
Oh, Steve, happy bunch from Minnesota. Let's take another look here. Very good reaction time. Actually, Hoover a little bit better, a 5:21 against a 5:31, but it's a drag race all the way until Hoover goes by a Hartman who gets looser. Hartman keeps it off the wall, which is a good job. Crosses the center line. He's out of the race. Hoover on to victory. Let's go to Big Daddy.
Well, I'm here on the starting line with George Hoover, and I'll tell you what, that son of yours really did a job. 5:27. He's won another one for you, George.
Don't say that son of ours, because it takes a whole crew to win one of these things. Right?
But he did his job right every time today, George.
And this would be a glorious day for me if my wife was here.
Congratulations. Brock?
Okay,
Steve?
so a happy group. Let's go to Steve Evans with a winner.
There'll be a lot of emotion down here, I'm sure, with Tom Hoover. The car running in the 5:20s on the final. A magnificent job all day long. You never faulted. You never took a misstep.
I tell you, my dad, the crew, we did change motors after the second run. And to have another one come back and run as good. And I want to say hi to the kids and everybody back in Minnesota on this live TV. And Scotch-colored people, 3M, we did it.
And there may be some more for you down the road. This prize money comes in handy to a team like yours. You're not overfunded.
No, we're not. And we're had a little bad luck at Pomona here. We hurt a car. And to come back now and win this one. And in modern times, as Brooks said, here we go.
Okay, let's go back to Brock.
Well, Steve, a great show. I'll tell you what, that is Tom Hoover's first win since 1979. He's been waiting for one a long time. And there'll be some celebration up in Minnesota guaranteed tonight. So, Tom Hoover. Let's go to Steve Evans.
Well, you know, here today we were only able to show you the final rounds of the professional categories, but don't forget, on TNN American Sports Cavalcade, coming up will be a 90-minute pro show, a 90-minute sportsman show. For all of us here at Phoenix International Raceway, Brock Yates, Don Garlett, Steve Evans, thanks for joining us.
This special presentation of American Sports Cavalcade has been brought to you by Valvoline. People who know use Valvoline. And by Ford Motorcraft. Get the peace of mind of doing it right with the right parts. Motorcraft quality parts.